Good evening and welcome back to the Angry Cast and Fallout Shelter 2022. How y'all doing? So, trying to get ahead of things and get this recorded. Immediately after I finished up the last episode and the quests for the Labor Day stuff, the football ones dropped. So I figured, that's an easy sell. I can just talk about that for a little bit. We are still, like I said, we are always in that holding pattern of trying to get all of our peeps trained up. We brought in some more. Got some rescue people coming in and other things we got from Lunchbox, so we're up over like 103 or 104 at this point. We still need to, we had to upgrade one of the, I had one of the residences was not fully upgraded and it was stopping us at 102, but that's been taken care of. We are just pretty much just on autopilot though, as far as things are concerned, because we got everything we need. We can build all the coolest stuff. We just have to keep bringing in more, stuff, more junk to do the vengeance and to make the best of the outfits that we need, which I'm trying to go through and get everybody upgraded to the best outfits for their job. But other than that, there's not much else we can really do with this game. I think we've successfully kicked it in its ass, and as we always would have, and I told you, it's not a question of having to spend your money on in-game stuff, because you just play the game and things will come to you. I mean, as you can see, we are pretty kitted out. Now, do I have all of the Mr. Handies I would have liked to have had at this point? No. But I've been also playing at just a weekly clip and not really paying attention to it as much as I would in the previous playthroughs we've done. But, there we go. So, as we do these quests for the football, and I think there's only like 3 of them, I tell you what, this past weekend, Labor Day weekend, was the opening weekend, I think, for the NFL. Now, I have really not been paying attention to the NFL for probably the last 7 or 8 years. I kind of gave up on it. I was a diehard Pittsburgh Steelers fan. I grew up black and gold. My dad would, wave a terrible towel at games, and we'd have like the bad luck brick, which is like a foam brick that we'd throw at the TV or a bad call brick, I think it's called. He would throw it at the TV when things would go not his way. And of course, during the 80s, the Steelers had a lot of things not go their way. I remember the Mark Malone years, and then when we had the lockout and the strike, and they had Bono. He was playing, and then he went to San Francisco, I think, from being a scab to being a full-time player. But, that being said, scab players aside and everything else, we suffered through a lot more of the 80s. I forgot, oh God, I can't remember his name. Oh, the guy we used to have, I should, it started with an S, I think. Oh, this is poor of me. But he was, a solid player towards the end of the decade, in the 80s and in the early 90s. And then, of course, we had, Cordell Stewart, and then we had 2 quarterbacks, Kent Graham and Cordell Stewart. And then, of course, we had Tommy Maddox, who just jumped in and, saved us for, 5 games. And then, of course, Ben Roethlisberger. And now, I was a diehard Steeler fan. I grew up with the 4 Super Bowl rings from the 70s. The whole, the frozen tundra of Lambeau Field. The NFL films, that whole thing, and everything. I lived and breathed all that. And my Sundays, as I got to be in my adult years and going to college and everything else, Sundays it was like, sadly to say, it was more like a religion, watching the Steelers on Sunday. And being that, I was at a student at Pitt, we had, the Steelers played 10 minutes down the road on Sundays. You can always tell in the traffic and everything else and all that. And Three River Stadium, because I was in college from 93, 94 to 98. So we were still at Three River Stadium, and I actually only ever went to one game ever at Three River Stadium, and that was a game in the snow against the Houston Oilers at the time. And my Lord, I spent more time in the bathroom because I was freezing. I was not dressed well for the weather. I never knew. I never understood that. Nobody, paid attention and told me, hey, maybe you better bundle up a little bit better than that, than a coat and no gloves. So yeah. But that being said, once I became a full-fledged adult and on my own and living on my own, I would, of course, watch the Steelers, and we would, Sundays was always, 1 o'clock, I'm watching the game. Whatever I'm doing, whatever I got going on, boom, I got to stop when there's a game, and I start watching, and there you go. Now, depending on how well the game went, was how well my mood went. If the Steelers won, everything else I did that day was a pretty damn good day. When they lost, though, everything was bad. That's how things worked. So, being that as an adult and having adult things, like responsibilities and chores and all that, imagine having trying to work on something and not destroy everything in your path when the Steelers had a bad day. It was not easy. There was a couple of lawn tools that didn't quite survive those rough seasons where we didn't get to the playoffs. But then probably about the middle of the 2011, the 2010s, right around the 2011, 2012, 2013 year, I got fed up with it. I mean, and my whole thing was more of a the hypocrisy of it all among the rules were changing, hits and concussions and how you can't do this and you can't do that, and this team, this guy got in trouble for something, but he's out there playing, but your guy gets in trouble for something and he's suspended for 4. I just could not, and the Steelers were just as bad. I mean, my gosh, we had 2 credible accounts of wrongdoing against our own quarterback, and then what happened with some of our defensive line, and then now granted, drugs themselves, marijuana and all that should not have been a deterrent, but these guys are looked at as being looked up to by kids, and they're putting on that kind of and granted, I understand, but still, kids are influenced heavily by who they see and who they will do those things. And when they get older and it's okay to do those things, then fine, sure, but as a young kid, not so much. So all of that just kind of pushed me towards not wanting to watch anymore. And it wasn't as fun anymore either. Once Troy Polamalu kind of retired, it kind of whatever. And also because that whole thing where I would get all bent out of shape over a lost game, it would totally throw my rest of my weekend into an entire uproar. I would just be just so mad because of what happened. Why am I getting like that? Why do I care that much? There's you're not a true fan if you don't. No, it has nothing to do. Listen, we're individuals. We can separate those things. We should be able to separate those things. Being a fan and leaving in the third quarter does not mean that you're a bad fan. It means you got shit to do. So all of that kind of led me to the decision of saying, you know what, I'm done. I'm not going to watch anymore. I'll pay attention. I'll watch. I'll see the scores. But I'm not going to get invested into a game like that anymore. And so when Sundays would come around and I would see a game was on, and I'd go outside and do stuff. Or, that would be the time when I would go grocery shopping because I know that people were not going to be in the store. And there was a Sunday ritual for about 2.5 years post-divorce where Bailey and I would go shopping or grocery shopping on Sunday, and we would go sit in the food, not the food court, but there's a salad bar area, there's an eating area in the local grocery store, and they had hot foods and salad. We would go get lunch and go grocery shopping, and that was our thing. That was how we spent, and I thought that was more a better use of our time together on a Sunday than me just watching a game and her doing something else. But then, of course, that all ended because of COVID. And you couldn't, they closed that down. They still haven't opened that up yet. And that's, we used to go there to get produce instead of having to go and buy regular produce and chop it up. It was already pre-processed, and we didn't have to do anything with it. And it was just about the same price anyway, so, But that's neither here nor there. So, yeah, I kind of, just really gave up on watching sports altogether because I reclaimed my time. I reclaimed my time on a Sunday, on a Thursday night, and the Pirates, the Pirates, they break your heart. I mean, how can you not be romantic about baseball as the line goes? And they can really make it a bad breakup. with their, things were going so well, and then never quite got there, and we lost all the good players, and we don't really pay to have, the whole system is just a ridiculous joke. But so that being said, I am much happier now that I do not have to worry about, I got to be on my couch at 1 o'clock on a Sunday, when I say, hey, I can be in the store at 1 o'clock on a Sunday because nobody's going to be there. And my life is much better now. But, that being said, I still do care about Pittsburgh sports. I still do care about whether or not the team wins or loses. But this last weekend, what the heck was that? That was a game of whose team cannot suck worse at kicking a field goal. Because when you think about it, the Steelers themselves went up by 10 in the first quarter. Actually, no, they went up by 7. It was 10-3 at the end of the first quarter. And then they piddle-farted around with only getting, I think, one other touchdown to where it was 17-14. And then they got another field goal, so it was 20-14. And then, a nail-biter at the end, Cincinnati gets a touchdown, making it 20-19, or 20-20, and then they missed the point after. So now it's tied at 20-20, and they go into overtime. So of course now it has been so long since I watched, I don't even remember the rules of overtime. I thought it used to be like, hey, each team gets a chance to go down the field and score, and if they don't, well, that ends the game. Well, no, apparently not. Each team, we get a chance to go down. We missed a field goal. They got a chance to go down. They missed a field goal, or vice versa. And then finally, my gosh, the thunk when that ball hit the uprights the one time from Cincinnati, that was ridiculous. And it's just like, people are like, this is a nail biter. This is so exciting. I'm like, no, this is not exciting. This is ridiculous. That's Cincinnati. Now, granted, Cincinnati, AFC defending, the defending champs of the AFC, who were in the Super Bowl last year. They should be doing good. They're the face of the AFC North right now, and they can't kick a freaking field goal. But the Steelers, who there's the reason why we have the crying Bengals fan as a meme. The fact that we can't kick a field goal either. Like, it should never have got to overtime. The game should never have gone to where it did in order for that to rely on a field goal to win in overtime. It's the Bengals, for God's sakes. I mean, anybody who lives in Pittsburgh, who's been a Pittsburgh fan for the last 30 years, knows that the Bengals will always end up being the Bengals when it counts. It's the Browns you got to worry about, because the Browns go crazy at one point, and they kick your ass for no good reason. And the Browns are the Browns. I mean, but that's because we've seen what happens in bad years when they don't do that well, and the Browns are like, we're kicking your ass 2 games out of the year. How is that possible? I don't know. It's craziness. It is all craziness, and I'm really kind of concerned with the level of why did we go it this way. But in the case of things according to Fallout Shelter and these quests about football, who cares? It's just a game. The only important rule is that we all have fun. All right, I think that's about it for now. I'm hoping that we're done here. We had a good run, and hopefully we can see you next time. We'll be coming up on the Halloween episodes. I don't know that we got through the Halloween. I have to go back and check. I know we're a year into this, but I don't know if we opened up quests when Halloween came around. I guess we'll find out when the quests get launched out of the void come close to October. And if they show up in my quest log, well, then we'll know for sure. But until then, we'll see you next time. Have a good one. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Take care of the planet. Take care of your business so you can enjoy your Sunday afternoon instead of having a crazy meltdown. And we'll see you next time. Have a good one.